Hello and welcome back to Helluva Podcast. I'm Alex.
I'm Audie, the O is silent, and I don't have a joke this week.
Wow, Audie.
Listen, we thought that last week was our season finale, and I barely had a joke then, so I don't have one now, and I'm not going to apologize for that.
Well, now that you've stopped the joke train, are you going to stay on it? Like, how does that work?
I think for season 3, which is, what will begin at some point soon-ish, I think I'll have to take it up a notch. Just,
yeah.
I don't know.
Get
go
fucking
wild.
better.
Yeah. Anyway, we're finishing our discussion of Sinsmas, which we thought we were going to do all in one episode last week, but evidently that did not happen. But don't fret, it is still the most recent episode of the show. It'd be really fucked up if they were just like, anyway, here's 5 more pieces of content for you to discuss on your bitch-ass podcast. But no.
And the most recent short is Chupacabras?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every week you say it with a question in your voice.
Yeah, at first it was because I wasn't sure if that's what it was actually called, but this time I was like, wait, did they drop another short? Because that feels like so long ago.
Yeah. Perhaps in due time, soonish.
Yeah, definitely during the hiatus, that's confirmed.
Yeah, they'll probably take a proper hiatus where they don't release fucking anything for a while, but then maybe at Level Up Expo, they'll start, feeding us.
But at Level Up, isn't that usually when they give the season trailers?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's maybe when they'll start, going back into business. Hey, we're back, here's some content.
Yeah, that's real. When is Level Up, do you know?
I think May or April. I can Google. I don't know how we're already on a tangent.
That's so long.
Level Up
from
Expo
now.
2025. It's late April. April 25th to 27th.
Damn. Okay, so we're not getting a lot for a while.
No, but that gives us plenty of time for bonus content.
It does.
But we are getting ahead of ourselves, I fear.
We are.
We have to finish this goddamn episode.
Yes, we do need to finish this episode. That said, though, I think for question of the episode, hell of a Q&A, we should, which, not really because it's polls now, comments, people who comment on this podcast. Mm-hmm. What do you want for bonus content? Tell us.
Yeah, tell us.
In the comments.
Or alternatively, ask us a question that we can answer in a Q&A episode.
True. That also.
Because that's something we definitely want to do at some point. But yeah, any ideas you have, anything you want us to do, we have some thoughts, but we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. But yeah, you want to get into it? First thing's music, so I'm sure you want to take it.
Yeah, we left off with the start of the ice fight. Or, I guess, sort of Stolas arriving at Stolas' Androphus's fucking ice palace thing. Jesus Christ.
Which, by the way, because I'm just saying because you didn't know this.
Yeah.
That's Stolas' house.
Yeah, this is the place Stolas has been living this whole time. I didn't fucking realize the first time I watched this because Androphus has gotten his ice all over it.
Yeah.
He's iced all over the place.
You thought it was his house.
Yeah, because we've seen Androphus's ice castle before, and it kind of just looked exactly like it at a quick glance, so...
Yeah, but it is Stolas' house because it still has the balcony and all that.
Mm-hmm. And Octavia's there.
Yeah, well, Octavia could have moved in with...
She was, yeah. Anyway, as Stolas is, approaching his home, which is no longer his home, his theme plays in the background, which I don't know that we've heard his theme in a while. And it's a sort of slowed version of it, and it's just, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I love a good motif.
Real, I also love a good motif. But then he says, ugh, fucking Ice Queen. Yeah. Which, this reads like a slur to me. It really does.
Yeah.
And then he also, the cuntiness he delivers this with. Bro's been off his meds for so long.
Yeah. And also, you pointed out the Ice Queen thing, because Blitz is about to call him Elsa.
Oh, yeah.
But as you pointed out, the Frozen is initially based off of Hans Christian Andersen's Ice Queen story. So Stolas, being the, well-read royal bitch that he is, might be referencing that as well. But also being lightly homophobic because Androphus deserves it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it is. It's very this. It's kind of pretentious in air as well.
Yeah.
With the calling him Ice Queen. Because it is the same thing as Elsa. And hold on, I lost my thought. Let me cook.
He's cooking.
He's cooking. He's not cooking.
They have dropped the food on the floor.
Yeah, turned off the oven.
The house is on fire.
Yeah, just like Blitz's apartment.
Yeah, just like the circus.
What?
Huh? What? Who said
what?
that? Anyway.
But then, yeah, Stolas proceeds to beat the absolute shit out of Androphus. I laughed so fucking hard at this.
Me too. I was cackling.
And then
Go ahead.
Androphus' fucking dead bird look with the eyes.
Yeah. No, so when this episode dropped, I was not expecting it, and I don't think you were either, because I was thinking it would be, on Christmas, maybe Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
It came out on, the 21st or something.
Came out while I was actively driving 4 hours. I was so upset.
Yeah. So I'm, talking to my mom, who's getting ready for work, and then I go, oh, shit! Fucking Sinsmas! And I, sit at the kitchen table with my headphones on, and she's, upstairs in the bathroom, doing her makeup and shit, and meanwhile, I'm, at the table, rocking back and forth, giggling, talking out loud to myself, and then this scene happens, and I just start dying laughing, and afterwards, she was like, I heard you cracking the fuck up, was it good? I was like, it was an episode.
It was an episode.
It certainly was.
Genuinely, I think the funniest part of this episode, though, because it does come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just straight up is and it's the verge of a breakdown thing, always on the verge of a breakdown. Mm-hmm. But 10 times worse, because I think he says, what does he say? I don't remember, but it's something so small, and then he's just
Yeah, I think Androphus was about to start, monologuing. He was, going on a little ramble, talking about himself, being all oh, look at you poor thing. Oh, you've ruined your life. But meanwhile, I'm here, blah, blah, blah. And then Stolas just punches him in the fucking face.
Which, honestly, we all wanted that, so.
Yeah, that was the best. That was a highlight. Not, my top moment, but a highlight of the whole season for me, honestly. It's up there.
Yeah. Honestly, Stolas being off his meds has been really good. Not for him, but it's been entertaining.
For him. He needs to get back on them, but also it's kind of funny for us when he's not on them.
It's making great content, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Androphus says, you are dead for that. And Stolas literally says, do it, pussy.
Which,
so,
yeah, again, so deeply unmedicated, not good for him. I think he's at kind of, I was going to say a rock bottom here, but I think he actually reaches a rock bottom at the end of this episode, so it's he's at rock bottom, and then he finds out that rock bottom can indeed go lower, but he's the suicidal ideation is very real in this episode, and I think done very well. We joke about it, but I think it's really done pretty cool.
Yeah, it is done really well. You can tell that at least half that writer room is mentally ill, and I love it.
You've got to be mentally ill to create a show like Helluva Boss.
No, that's true, but half these people have been off their meds before. Yeah. They all on happy pills.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the infamous line, "Hey Elsa,
get your icy hands off my bottom, bitch."
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal it from you.
No, you're good. You started talking in the middle of me reciting it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that we were almost vocal stimming, saying this back and forth to each other before we started recording this episode.
Yeah, we were.
We kept being okay, let's get serious. Hey, Elsa.
Yeah. Because, well, to be fair, it was on my screen and I kept reading it because it's in all caps.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey Elsa. Which, first of all, this also implies that Frozen exists in this universe. I feel like no one's talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, pop culture things in real life seem to exist in general. Like, I think their Earth is our Earth, but
Right.
But yeah, they don't usually when they reference like pop culture in the show, they do some sort of like spin-off reference to it, like how they have Sinstagram instead of Instagram, like
Yeah, and I feel like for Frozen the movie to be in hell, it would have to be a sinner who knows about it and cares about it enough comes down and talks about it.
I mean, think about how many Disney adults they must have in hell.
Oh, that's true. They probably got Walt Disney himself down there, actually.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Not that he created Frozen. He was dead by then. But anyway, is it that, or do they just have Disney in hell because it's bad?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Because the way he says, hey, Elsa, like, Blitz has seen Frozen.
Yeah. I mean, there is a horse in it. Oh, no, Sven is a reindeer. Oh, no, but there's also a horse. There's also
no, there is a horse. There's a horse. But the horse is kind of antagonized. Or antagonistic, right? Because isn't it Hans's horse? Or am I crazy?
It is. Are you saying that this horse is complicit in Hans's crimes?
Probably. I don't know. I'm just saying that Blitz would not like that. He'd be like, that horse did fucking nothing to you. Why is the horse the villain? They should give the horse to Elsa.
True. Yeah.
Actually, not to go on a big tangent, but I feel like Blitz would love Frozen because I feel like he would relate to Elsa because the whole, like... I know it's a metaphor for queerness, but also it's a metaphor for mental illness.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're not going to get deep into that.
I think, honestly, Stolas would fuck with Elsa hardcore. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah. So kind of hypocritical of both him and Blitz to be making fun of Andrelphus. Like, Andrelphus has the ice powers, but they have the emotional connection.
I feel like Stolas maybe hasn't seen Frozen, actually. Like, I could see that, but he's definitely read The Ice Queen and, like, did when he was, like, 4.
Yeah.
It was, like, one of his favorite childhood books.
100%.
And then his fucking dad was like, what? My kid? Queer? What?
Yeah. And then also, it's worth noting, Blitz throws not one, but 2 snowballs at Andrelphus. He throws one after the "Hey Elsa" line, like a snowball hits Andrelphus in the face, and like Andrelphus wipes it off or whatever, and is like, the imp is here to challenge me, and then Blitz immediately like starts making another snowball to throw at him. It's like, yeah, the imp is here to challenge you, and I've got snowballs.
Yeah, no, for real. He's so funny. Like, why is he like that?
He's so goofy in this whole fight scene. Like,
yeah.
Your boy bestie situationship, bottom lover, whatever, his life is in danger here, and you're just like throwing snowballs and singing little songs. Like,
no, for real, but he does fuck shit up.
He does.
He's silly and he's free.
Yeah.
No, generally though, these last few episodes even, he's been really silly and goofy, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially this one, which, I mean, I guess, no, I'm trying to think of Mastermind, because most of Mastermind is the court scene, and obviously he's not very silly and goofy there, but,
yeah.
Like, yeah, I think having Stolas around, and, like, I don't know, I'm curious how much of it is him, like, you know, trying to lighten the mood for Stolas, who's going through a lot, and then, like, how much of it is, like, it feels like it is his authentic self shining through, but I don't know. I want to know how subconscious that is, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm interested in that too, and I think also there's a lot in both ways, because he definitely would compensate like that, like we've seen him do that. But also there is the whole thing of like he doesn't have bags under his eyes anymore, and like is he's sleeping better and just feeling safer and better now that Stolas is there.
Right.
There's also the fact that he's, being recognized for his work and being celebrated, which is something he's wanted his entire life, so that probably helps.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, it's all coming up Blitz.
Yeah, no, literally.
Stolas is having the worst time in his fucking life, but Blitz is thriving. His skin is clear, like...
No, for real. He is vibing. And it's like oh shit, I almost died, and Stolas sacrificed everything for me, so that sucks for him, but, like, I'm vibing.
Yeah.
It's nothing like a near-death experience to, like, fix you.
It's true. Which, it's funny you say that, because I was about to reference a show I've been watching recently called The Great on Hulu. It's about Catherine the Great. It's like a comedy, historical fiction thing. Not important, but I've been watching that lately. And, oh my god, where was I going with this? Oh, well, number one, the reason I bring it up is because there's a line where someone calls someone a horse fucker. And that just made me think of X's and O's. But then also the thing you just said about near-death experience changing you happens in that show. So it's funny that you said that as I was about to bring it up. But
yeah,
it's not relevant.
Same brain.
Yeah. Fun show, though. I recommend it.
Hard pivot, Luna's Hellhound form.
Yeah. It exists, apparently.
Yeah, nobody... So... I'll let you take this, because I like it, and I know you're excited about it, and then I'm going to say my qualms with it.
Yeah. So, nobody reacts with any sort of surprise towards Luna's Hellhound form. And I mean, that could just be, like, a heat of the moment, like, we're busy, we don't have time to talk about this right now thing, but to me, it more reads like they all already knew about it, which I would think, like, I doubt that they've seen it before, because like Blitz didn't even know that Luna had a human disguise, and this feels like something that you only whip out in a very dire situation. So to me that implies, like, if they're not surprised by it but they also haven't seen it, then I would guess that like all hellhounds probably have the ability to take on this form, which I think would make sense, like, world building wise, but you say your qualms, because I don't disagree with your issues.
Yeah, to me this felt really sudden, in the fact of we've never seen it before, we've never heard that hellhounds have another form like this, and this episode is Luna's first fieldwork that we've seen other than Truth Seekers, right? And
Springbroken.
Yeah, but that was a little different, because she was in her human disguise most of that.
Yeah.
And also... I mean, like, most, like, big fights, which we did have one in Full Moon as well. But, like, as far as, like, life or death fights we've seen the teams have, other than Truth Seekers, which that was Stolas, Luna hasn't been in any. So, to have, like, the first one she's in reveal a whole new form, it was just, like, I don't know, it was very, like... When I was watching it, I was like, huh? It felt sudden. It does seem like it's something you reveal in a season finale, so, like, that makes sense. But also, like your thing, like, if it's a lore implication thing, then to just drop it and have nobody react and not, like, state that it's related to hellhounds or lore at all, it just feels off to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I think I agree. It just didn't bother me as much. I feel like that kind of drop it and go thing with lore that Helluva has been doing a lot lately, I think I'm just kind of getting used to it, and so
real.
I was like, okay, sure, this is what we're doing now. It's fine.
I had a similar thing where I was like, okay, we're doing this. Like I did that with like slash neg.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'm also just really partial to everyone's always like, Helluva Boss doesn't make any sense, and like they just do random shit and they don't have a plot, and like so when it does shit like that, I'm like, fuck, they're right.
Yes. No, I think my thing is I Helluva Boss and even more so Hazbin Hotel, but that's a separate thing. But like Helluva Boss, I feel the need to defend it as an interest when I talk about it to anyone. Like, it's a show that I bring up with a million caveats. I'm like, it's not that good. I mean, it is, and I like it, but also I hate it, you know? Like, I have to, like, defend myself, which is also just kind of the trappings of, like, cringe culture, but also it is really bad in a lot of ways, is the thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes to, like, get over that with myself, I need to just, like, kind of get on board with that and be like, okay, this is how it is. Just fucking deal with it. You're having fun. Just have fun.
Yeah, no, that's so real. That's like, I never bring up that I have a podcast, and sometimes people will, like, ask me what I'm doing this weekend, and, like, half of my Saturday is typically recording this, and so it'll be like, or, like, they try to make plans, and I'm like, oh, I'm busy, and they're like, oh, yeah, what are you doing? And I'm like, recording my podcast, and then I have to explain that I have a decently popular podcast, and then people are like, what is it? And I'm like, it's about a show, and they're like, what show? And I'm like, don't fucking ask me that.
Don't ask me that. Yeah. No, my granny visited earlier today, as you know, and we were just making conversation, and she was like, do you have any plans for later today? And I was like, listed off what I was doing, and then I very reluctantly was like, and recording a podcast with Alex. And I was like, please don't ask any follow-up questions, because I cannot explain Helluva Boss to my fucking granny.
Yeah.
But she didn't ask any follow-up questions, and then I was kind of like, what the hell? Ask me about my slightly successful podcast.
When I was visiting family, my sister was like, why don't you ever send me your podcast? And I was like, oh, it's about a show that you don't watch. And she was like, okay.
You don't want to watch it. Like, you might enjoy it, but also it will make your life worse.
She is not queer. She would hate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things too where it's like, there's so many parts I don't like about it. Like, this is fundamentally an analysis podcast, but it is kind of a hate podcast sometimes. Sometimes. It's also a love podcast. It's a complicated podcast.
Yeah.
Like all the relationships in the show.
Yeah. I think I've said this before. If we ever get to a point where we dislike the show more than we like it, I don't think we would do this podcast anymore, because that would just be, one, so much work for us that's not worth it, and two, that's like, I don't think that's really the energy we want to put out. Like, I think at this point, the criticisms and stuff we have, we say them with hate, but also, you know, it's because we do ultimately still like the show.
Yeah, and there's some things too that are just so strong. Like, I don't think Fizz and Blitz will ever leave my brain is the fucking problem.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're what's holding me on, character-wise.
Yeah, if we don't get the Fizz Blitz fuck sesh.
If we don't get the Fizz Blitz, literally anything, then...
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it doesn't go anywhere in the present day, can we just address that Blitz literally was handing him a love note in fucking... right before Circus Fire? Can we just... we need to address it. There's a giant... there's a giant Fizz Blitz-sized elephant in the room that Alex is riding because he's ridden an elephant, as we've established.
When you put that on our story, somebody responded, and was like, I was laughing my ass off. And I was like, me too, because I kept going back to that clip on our story and being like, that's so fucking funny. And I'm the one who rode the elephant. But yeah.
It's so funny.
But also that... I don't know about writing it, but elephants are a really big circus animal. So that's also just a funny analogy.
Yeah.
Analogy?
I didn't see that message. I'm gonna look at it.
Okay, right now while we're recording?
Yeah, but anyway, we can move on. This
part, so Blitz says, try again, and Ralphus is, like, holding him in the air, says, try again, bitch, I've been called so much worse, and then the long beep, and Blitz looks horrified.
Yeah, like, bro said slurs. Which ones? I don't know, probably
every
all
one
of
them. Yeah.
He called him slurs that don't apply to him. He called him a tranny. Like, sorry, I don't think I've said tranny on the pod before. But
you're allowed to say it. It's your word.
I know, but, like, I didn't even say faggot on here for a while. But faggot is just such a normal part of my vocabulary. I had to work it in there.
But yeah, the F slur, the T slur, racist slurs probably. But the thing about it is it's not hell racist. It's racist enough to bleep.
Yeah.
So it's not like the shit that we saw in what the fuck was that? Western Energy?
Who? Yeah.
In the hospital?
In the hospital. Right, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that shit. This is like, I don't know. It's funny to me. Is it like solely Earth slurs? Is it like really pretentious slurs? Like,
yeah.
why did they get bleeped? But yeah, they're definitely slurs.
I mean, yeah, it could also just be to like, leave it up to the viewer's interpretation. But then, yeah, like in universe, why is that bleeped but not like fire toad or whatever?
Yeah.
So like
they're not microaggressions, they're macroaggressions kind of
yeah,
thing.
It implies that this is something we haven't even heard before.
Yeah. And this is Blitz's new worst.
Yeah.
Because I've been called so much worse.
Yeah. And then also just I like the sort of medieval vibe that they went for with this battle. I mean, there are also like guns and shit, but like overall, like there's the ice castle. Andrelphus has a fucking ice dragon. They're fighting with big swords, and Blitz is riding Luna like a horse, which he probably fucking loves. He's probably
he says,
that's why he's so happy.
Looney, you need to do this more often.
She's like, Dad, I am not. This is not happening again. This is for emergencies only. He's like, yeah, but we can.
Even in emergencies. Even in emergencies, she stops using it because she doesn't want to make him happy.
Oh, normal father-daughter relationship. Yeah. And then Blitz fucking sings a little song to himself while he's going to rescue Stolas because he's a fucking dork.
Yeah, and it mirrors or parallels the little song that he sings when he's doing the balloon animals as a kid, the dee 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 doo 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 doo.
Yeah. He's literally like da 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 da. Like he's
bro
such
vocal
a
stimming.
dork.
Honestly, he's so real. This is me whenever I do anything.
Yeah.
Also,
like
a new
life or death situation for everyone involved, and he's singing like.
Well, a new thing I've started doing after my car crash is when I'm stressed out and I'm driving, I vocal stim exactly like this. So that's why I think it's really funny.
Oh, that is really funny.
I literally just be like, do, you're okay. But anyway.
Bro is coping.
He high fives Moxie, Blitz does, which parallels Spring Broken.
Yeah, like when Moxie's being eaten by the fish.
Normal sentence.
No, yeah, normal. This show's normal is the thing. I don't know.
It's like it's so normal. I don't know why you.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of parallels in this episode.
Yeah.
So we probably haven't named all of them, but a lot of people have pointed out most of them. So
Yeah. Also, my sigh was preemptive because it's for the next part.
Yeah. Do you want to dramatically reenact this dialogue with hate in our hearts?
I don't even remember how it's delivered. I've never once rewatched this scene.
It's cute. I skip it every time.
No, literally. And I'm right.
No, you are.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is where we might lose people a bit, though, because we feel very passionately about this little moment where Stolas says, "You've just risked your life to save mine."
Well, so did you.
Literally kill me now. People ate the shit up because it's gay men and they kiss on the mouth. We hate it a lot.
Yeah. No, people not only did eat the shit up, they are still eating the shit up.
Yeah, this is like the highlight of the episode for a lot of people, and it is my least favorite part. And yours too, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, yeah. Probably of the fucking season. This sucks. Yeah. And a lot of people also, I want to give credit that a lot of people put this in tandem with like the balcony scene, and like a lot of people favor the balcony scene, and you're right. But I just want to say those are like the two scenes I see trending. You're wrong if it's this one, you're right if it's the other one. But yeah, this is like, first of all, just not justified at this point, not believable, completely out of character.
The kiss, you mean, right?
The kiss, not the balcony scene, yeah. The kiss, but then also you risk your life to save mine. I mean, it's Stolas, maybe, but the Blitz part, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, it's so, like, first of all, it's on the nose. They have a conversation about this later anyway, so it's not necessary.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, it's this moment, they could have just, like, shared a look here, and then, like, continue falling and not kiss, and I feel like that would have, like, they could have just shared a look, and that would have said just as much, without them having to actually say it. And then the kiss, given that they, like, later have the sweet moment on the balcony, and then Blitz hugs Stolas, when, like, they're both clearly thinking about kissing, like, they look at each other's lips, and we'll get to that, but, like, Blitz doesn't kiss him in that moment, and that feels more intimate than any other thing that they've ever done on this show. But it's made less impactful by the fact that they kiss here, and that kiss doesn't feel earned at all.
Yeah, and I think it's underrated, like, it underrides the other thing as well. Which is, like, yeah, I think even, like, I agree, like, the look to get the thing across, but also I don't think anything even needs to get across in this moment. I think they could cut this scene entirely.
Yeah, I don't know. I think even if it was just Stolas looking at Blitz, though, and, like, having a moment of, like, oh, he does care about me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's all they needed. Like, they could have done that with a look. It didn't need to be a kiss. And my theory / prediction is that we're about to have, like, a dry spell of Blitz and Stolas. Like, I think, like, season 3 is going to start, and Stolas is going to be not interested in Blitz, like, at all, like, really pulling away from him emotionally. And so I feel like this was meant almost as, like, fan service to, like, satiate until, like, for that dry spell. Which is
annoying.
It's annoying. Or, like, even not necessarily as fan service, but just, like, I don't know, like a sort of, maybe they were trying to be like, oh, this is what we're going towards, but psych, we're going to take it away now. Like, I can see that, but it just does not work well because there was not enough building up to it.
Right, there's no build up, and then again, it's completely out of characters. And I know I said the Stolas thing, and that was, like, medicated Stolas, though. Current Stolas? No.
Yeah.
Like, he's been really cold to Blitz, even outside of the Via thing. Like, obviously that makes it 10 times worse, but even, like he's been nice, but he hasn't been lovey-dovey with him at all. Blitz has been the lovey-dovey one.
Yeah. But it's been really fun to see that difference, but this sort of just ruins it.
And the so did you is just doesn't read as a Blitz line at all, and then the you risk your life to save mine doesn't read as Stolas line in this current moment. So the dialogue just completely out of character and feels awkward. It's on the nose. It doesn't make any sense. Also, like, you're actively in battle. Like, why are we having this? Like,
no, literally. And like, you know, they're suspending your disbelief for things like that. But it you know, it'd be different if this actually worked, but it doesn't.
There's just not a single thing that makes sense about it.
No. And fucking fight us if you want. We're here to bring the fucking controversy. Controversy.
Are we?
We're here to bring the controversy.
And also, like, just, I had something and then I forgot it.
Keep foregoing.
I keep foregoing.
He keep freaking foregoing. What the heck?
I keep foregoing. Yeah. I just think, and then again with the balcony scene, like, that is so powerful, and that is so good. And if we were to go into that and then a dry spell, that would be great.
Yeah, like, leave us wanting more. Like,
yeah.
Now that we got that, I'm not excited about them to have a proper kiss in the future, because it's so annoying.
Because that's their first romantic kiss. That was what I was going to say. That was their first romantic kiss. And, you know, we've talked about, like, Millie and Moxie having their romantic kiss, and then Fizz and Ozzy having their romantic kiss. Like, those are very big moments in the show, and for both of those relationships. Not necessarily Millie and Moxie, because I'm sure they have romantic kiss off screen all the time. Yeah. But, like, it was really big for Blitz. I mean, not Blitz. Ozzy and Fizz. But then this... So the romantic kiss, historically in the show, is big. It's monumental to the relationship and to the plot. Yeah. So to just have it without any justification, like...
It sucks.
It's such a waste because it has the power to be so powerful and, like, move the plot and character arcs along so well if done right. So to use it here is so annoying. Like, it's so upsetting.
I hate it so much. It's really unfortunate. And, like, it's disappointing in a way that, like, you know, this show has its issues, as we've discussed a lot, but, like, this was surprising to me. Like, this was a disappointing even for this show kind of thing, you know? Like...
Yeah, it's, like, it's everything that we've been complaining about on fucking steroids, this scene.
Yeah. I really expected... not this. But then with so many people reacting to it with so much happiness makes me even more upset.
Yeah. And we do have to put in the caveat that a lot of these people are probably very young queer people that go crazy at the slightest mention of queer people, which, you know, I get it. Been there.
Yeah. We've all been there.
We've all been there.
And we don't mean this as, like, a personal slight against you. You're very real for that. It's just from a, you know, this podcast, we bring the heat, we bring the controversy.
We're also both fucking writers, which doesn't help anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we see a slight writing flaw and we're like, we pounce. Yeah,
when we do this podcast, it is with the intention of, like, dissecting this show and, like, talking about it critically. And that doesn't always mean negatively, but in this case, it does end, so... Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, to pivot a bit, Via's powers.
Yeah. So shout out to one of our listeners, Sparkle Emoji, Cat Sparkle Emoji, who commented on our Mastermind episode. And they commented this, I think, like 4 or 5 days before Sinsmith dropped. So, like, fucking profit. And they said that they would love to see Octavia get cool powers and a fight scene. Granted, this isn't a very big fight scene for her, but, you know, cool powers, getting feisty with Andrelphus, I mean, I'd love to see even more from her, but you fucking nail on the head, so thanks for manifesting it, Cat. Sparkle emoji.
And yeah, it's really cool, too, because even if it's not a big fight scene or a lot of, like, power showing, it is the only time we've seen that from her, both of those things. So it is really big in that way.
Totally, yeah.
And then all of the IMP people couldn't take Andrelphus, but Via could take him single-handedly and really quickly.
Yeah. And, like, granted, he probably doesn't want to hurt her unless he really has to, you know? So he also kind of backs off. But, like, she fully, you know, fucks him up, like...
Yeah,
you know?
And he freaks the fuck out when she does that, so it makes me think that, like, he probably did scale back a little because he's like, okay, I can't kill her, even though that might come later. But he... I don't know. He definitely didn't back off all the way because of how upset he is when it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also just the fact that Octavia comes to save her dad and uses powers that he taught her. It's just so especially considering what's about to come next.
Yeah. No, the fact that she comes to her dad's aid, uses the powers that he taught her, and then doesn't want to talk to him.
Yeah.
And, like, doesn't want to connect with him is, like, ugh.
Yeah. And we will get into that in that conversation in just a moment, but our last note in this section is Blitz says, like, I believe that's what you call a bad look, and Octavia
a very bad look.
A very bad look. Like, they would literally be besties if she'd give him, like, a few minutes, you know?
Yeah, and also this was shown a lot in Lululand as well when they both go, I hate that fucking clown.
Yeah, they should.
Which that's aged as well.
Yeah. They should have a talk about that.
They should have a talk about that. Like, Blitz, this would never happen because Stolas doesn't fucking live there anymore, but Blitz would, like, go and see the Lululand pictures and be like, oh, cute. And they would talk about it, and then, Via would be like, yeah, that stupid fucking clown. He'd be like, oh yeah, about that. That's my best friend.
Let's cut the clown a little slack. He had a rough life. I set him on fire, when we were kids. It's not important.
And Via goes, the robot?
Blitz starts talking about having a crush on him when they were kids because he just needs to air that shit out. And Via's like, the fucking robot.
And then Via's like, was Lululemon around when you were a kid? And then Stolas is like, you have a crush on Fizz.
What? No, who said that?
Really good.
I cannot wait for the Fizz Blitz arc. If it doesn't happen, then, kill me dead, I guess, but I will be waiting.
Yeah, we just make this the Fizz Blitz podcast.
So true. Hell of a Fizz Blitz.
We are, that might
if
be
you
one
say
of our
we've done that
titles.
episode title already, I swear to God.
I don't think we have. I think I just typed Fizz Blitz into our Q&A or our poll last week, and that's why I'm thinking I did. But anyway, the conversation.
The Stolas and Octavia conversation. So, it's so well done. Like, every line of dialogue in this conversation, I was like, because, I mean, we've been shitting on Stolas since Mastermind a bit, like, about how, he didn't think of Octavia soon enough. He has a very one-track mind when it comes to Blitz. And we have been kind of, shitting on him as a dad. But, in this conversation, I really do, understand where they're both coming from, and that just makes it so sad and really written very well that, both of them have an understandable perspective. Like, Stolas was doing what he thought he had to do to save someone's life, and, he even says later, he did the right thing, he wouldn't take that back, but then also, the way Octavia sees it, it's just her dad leaving her, it's done so well, and it is so good.
Yeah, it is done really well, and it's also, it's hard to make a plot where two characters that were really close or should be really close familially, whatever may have you, genuinely have two extremely valid sides of the same thing that oppose. And they did that really good with Blitz and Fizz, actually. Not to keep bringing them up, but with the circus and the fire. Yeah. That was the same exact situation from two perspectives that theoretically should have been really similar, but are almost the complete opposites of each other. Yeah. And then this here is the same exact thing. They were... Obviously, it's a little different because, Via's the kid and Stolas is the dad. But, same exact physical situation, same exact events, complete opposites, and they're both right.
Yeah.
And they're both a little wrong, too, which is also important.
Yeah, totally.
Via is being mature in a lot of ways, but also some of it is immaturity because she's 17 years old. And that, I'm glad they did it that way.
Yeah. It's so... I hate to see people demonize her, because, one, that is literally a child, but also, from her perspective, a lot of this is really well articulated, and, the emotions she has here, even if some of them, she doesn't have the full picture, but, the emotions she has here are earned, and she is valid to be feeling them. Yeah. And that's a really good balance of, that, 17-year-old... maybe naivety and immaturity, but also, yeah, she's right. Especially the line when she's asking about his happy pills, and,
yeah.
And, God, fuck. Shout out all my girls with strained relationships with their fathers, and their fathers also struggle with mental illness. Shout out to you. I see you. You are real. We are the same. But yeah, and was I just some obligation? Yeah, kind of.
He has verbatim said that before, not to her, but we know for a fact in the show that he said the only reason that he was with Stella for that long and in the family, the household for that long, is because of her.
Yeah, and it wasn't his choice to give birth to her in the first place, and
then
to
he
raise
didn't,
her.
I don't know if necessarily he didn't want a kid, but he didn't want that marriage, and he didn't want a kid when he was 18, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, your existence was an obligation and an order.
Yeah. And that fucking sucks. And they need, and Stolas kind of, like, dismisses that here. He's like, no, of course not. But I feel like they really need to just, like, he needs to say what he should have said way back in Lululand when he was trying to explain, you know, his relationship with Stella and like, you know, how complicated that is. He couldn't find the words then, but if they just had, like, an honest sit down, maybe not anytime soon. Girly might need her space, and that's real.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, if they just, like, lay it all out plainly, it might hurt, but I think that's the only way that they're gonna move forward.
Yeah. And I think it's real for Stolas to not want to do that because, you know, it is, like, this, he, in his mind, like, this is his little girl. This is just little baby.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to burden her with that, which I think to a degree, you know, that is right. But she's almost an adult now.
Yeah.
And also, like, in the heat of the moment, you don't want to bring up, like, yeah, you were an obligation. Like, that would be crazy. But I do think that Via would understand. Like, I think if Stolas, like, sat her down and was like, hey, this is my story. Like, this is my side of things. This is how I've been hurt, which Stolas doesn't like to do with anyone ever. He doesn't want to tell anyone ever anything, so, like, we'll be lucky if this happens. But if he explains, like, hey, like, I have never loved women. I was forced to marry your mom and have you. I do love you, and I'm glad I have you. But, like, because there's the whole thing of, like, this is basically Stolas' first time being a person in society. Like, his first time having autonomy. Which is something you get when you're, like, 8. So,
yes.
So, yeah, I think, like, having that perspective, even if he doesn't understand it at first, and I think she'd understand to a degree. She'd be like, okay, yeah, you need to live your life. I get that. But I think what's important is they need to have that conversation so they can figure out how their relationship also fits into his life.
Yeah, definitely. It would be fun if they worked in, because Octavia, in the, like, Pride Month art that they dropped, Octavia is confirmed to be canon ace. And it'd be interesting if they worked that into that conversation somehow. Like, Stolas, you know, the whole, like, I was forced to marry your mother. I don't even like women. Like, I was forced into this life that I never chose. And Octavia is able to relate to that through her asexuality. Like, I mean, she's part of the Goetia family. Like, maybe she's supposed to bear cautionary air at some point, and maybe he's, like, protecting her from that, you know, like, maybe she'll find a way to relate to it or something, and that'd be a good way to bring it in.
It would be. I really do hope they have, okay, so actually 2 things. One, I do hope they have some ace rep, and I hope it's Octavia. If it's Mammon, I will kill someone on that team.
I will kill myself.
If they, like, in the show say that Mammon is ace, like, the Pride art I'm so upset about, we know this, but if they say it in the show, I'm done.
I am
done watching it.
It's so fucking true. I that will be it for me, yeah.
Yeah. I know that I say that a little bit, but, like, genuinely, that will be it. But anyway, they love to be like, oh my god, our sexual abusers are so complicated.
Oh my
god.
No. I don't give a fuck. Because now you've got people who want to fuck Valentino. It's like, girly, he does not give a fuck about your boundaries.
He doesn't give, not just your boundaries, he doesn't want you to consent.
No,
like, genuinely.
He
wants to date rape you, literally.
Yeah, one of us had to say it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he wants.
Yeah.
It's
insane.
And it's just like, oh, he's so
And I know now that I've said that, someone online is going to be like, yeah, that's what I want, because you're fucking crazy.
I mean, there's like con, non-con, and that's a different story.
That's not this. That's not this.
No, it's not.
That's completely different.
Yes. No, it is.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but I am clarifying to any freaks that are going to do that, not the same. You're not allowed. I don't let you. God, I got so heated about that. There was something else I wanted to say. Oh, I would love to have some actual, like, literally saying... Ace in the show kind of rep as opposed to like just the off scene, because off scene, like via being Ace off screen, like that's great, but I would love some on screen stuff, because the only place that like literally the only show I've ever seen that does that is BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, no,
which is like
real.
that's pretty good rep, but like if we had a like a character like Via who figures out when she's like 17, 18,
yeah,
and we follow that journey, like that would be great.
It'd be so cool.
But I do wonder, bringing up the precautionary air thing, I do wonder if because there's no way that Stolas would make her. And Stolas is the head of that household, Goetia-wise, like, he has the highest rank. But, like, what are the consequences if he doesn't make her? Like, what, that is interesting.
Yeah, no, I don't know. He's, like, a member of the, like, original Goetia, you know? Like, she's down a step from that. So maybe it doesn't apply to her, but I don't...
But she would be more though. Like Stella then, right? Like, she would have to marry a Goetia kind of thing.
Maybe, but she still is a Goetia. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I have no idea either. I think it'd be interesting, too, though, because he doesn't have power right now, so he's, like... Did he get stripped of his title for 100 years as well?
Did he what?
Get stripped of his title for 100 years as well? Because he got stripped of his legions. Yeah, so... so he wouldn't have a say if when she turns 18, she's forced to get married.
No. And that is so fucking...
Yeah, so maybe maybe she goes to him and is like... Dad, I don't want to get married, like, I don't. And then he, like, sits down and explains the thing. And she's like, well, yeah, of course, you don't actually want to marry the people. And then he's like, wait, Via. Via, people do want to marry other people is the thing.
Yeah, they have such a... they should do this. We should write this show for them, I think. I think we can... At this point...
Spindlehorse, if you need new writers...
Yeah. I'm not even being sarcastic even a little bit when I say that you and I could write this show better. And normally I would never say something like that with so much confidence. But, like, at this point...
Yeah, I mean, thing is, if they're looking for writers, like, this industry is hard. I'll go to LA. Like,
I'll go right now.
I need some bookings, like...
No, for real. Sign me the fuck up. I'm ready.
But anyway...
Finishing my degree? Nah. Bring me that into the industry.
Yeah. No, if I could work for Spindlehorse, like, straight up, taking a gap year, like...
Oh, yeah.
Did you forget that that's an option? Mr. Almost a Senior.
Mr. Almost a Senior. Yeah.
But anyway...
I was sorry. Last tangent. I just burped. I'm so sorry. Also, I am not... I just realized
I'm so fucking sorry.
I have not really been talking into my microphone very well, so I hope that this episode is okay. I'm
going to be, like, editing the audio, and it's going to randomly get so loud in the middle.
Yeah. No, but what was I going to say? Oh, last little tangent. I was also talking to my granny about, like, grad school and stuff earlier, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be applying to that this fall. Oh my god. And I needed to, like, lay down for a second. Like, what the
Bro
fuck
lay
do
down
you
on
mean?
the floor like
Yeah. But anyway,
bro going to grad school directly after undergrad, you're crazy.
I mean, we'll see what happens, you know. We'll see.
Yeah,
that's the plan, but depending where I get in, maybe I'll take some time off if I don't get in anywhere crazy cool.
Real. I thought you were just saying if I don't get it anywhere, and it's like, well, yeah.
Oh yeah, that also is a possibility that I do need to account for. I think I would kill myself. No, that's not true. That's not true.
You can't say that on the pod, Audie. They're gonna call.
I'm sorry.
You can't call caps on people that don't go to Bennington College, so that doesn't work. Caps is like our therapy people on campus.
Yeah. They're not good at their jobs.
We can't get on this on the pod.
No.
But our next note, Stolas's cry after the conversation with Via is the biggest, like, single biggest cry we've seen in this entire show out of anyone.
Yeah.
Which is important.
Yeah. I mean, this is, like, sobs, tears on his face. We've seen, like, the aftermath of a cry and, like, the beginning of a cry, like, end of Ozzy's, like, Blitz curls up on his couch and starts crying, but then the episode kind of fades out, and then end of the circus, like, when Stolas wakes up after Ozzy's, it's clear he's been crying a lot, but this, like, it's all on screen. I mean, not even all of it cuts off, but, like, from what we see on screen, it's intense and it's a lot. And
it's like that full body, like, like the screaming, crying, throwing up, like, that's what this is.
Yeah.
Legitimately, though. It's like, bro's heaving. Like,
yeah. Anyone ever had, comment down below if you've ever had a cry that made you feel like you were gonna throw up.
So real.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, this is devastation, like pure devastation. This is, if Rock Bottom was earlier, this is like the fucking magma center, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then in this moment, Blitz, who we have established does not like the cold, both earlier in this episode and in Mission Antarctica, like he's like, I hate the fucking cold, whatever, has already taken his jacket off and drapes it around Stolas' shoulder, which, one, doesn't really cover him.
Yeah.
And two, is so sweet, because it doesn't really cover him, but, like, he's still trying.
Yeah. And then Blitz also, he sees, I mean, it's not fully clear, but we're pretty sure the implication here is that Blitz sees Stolas' happy pills, because the bottle, like, shifts in his hand, and with the show, it sort of seems like it's Blitz's perspective, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But if he does see the happy pills, that's interesting. What's going to come of that? But if he doesn't see the happy pills, like, if he still has no fucking idea, then I don't remember. Did I say this on the podcast last week, or did I just say this to you independently? I'd be interested to see if Stolas goes back on his meds.
Yeah,
I think it'd be interesting if he didn't.
I was just thinking of that. I think we did say it on the pod, but I'm not 100%. Okay. My thing is, like, if Blitz saw them, I don't see him, and he knows what they are, I don't see him being, like, letting him not take them. Well, not letting him, but, like, he would bring it up. Or he would be hey, like he'd put him on his plate next to, like, a little orange juice or something. Like, that kind of thing. Or he'd be like, hey, Stoles, good morning, time for your meds.
Yeah.
Like,
Blitz is such a sweetheart, and that fucking, it's like a punch in the fucking stomach how much of a sweetheart he is when it comes down to it. Like,
especially because he's a protector and he's a caretaker, and we've only really seen that so far, aside from a small moments with Barbie and small moments with Fizz, in his, like, physical protection of, like, fighting for people. But seeing this, like, caregiving side, it makes a lot of sense. Like, that's like a thing, like, going back to, like, the kind of, like, out of nowhere thing that this show is, that's a thing that's, like, we've seen it with Luna, but that's, like, a separate thing. Like, his sudden, like, super caretaking and caregiving attitude did seem a little out of the blue, but not in a way that took me out of the show at all. Because I was like, yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, he genuinely cares about this person, and so he's taking care of them. And he's being sweet, and he's feeding him, and things like that. Also, I saw a post earlier today that was like, remember the saying that one person falls first, but the other person falls harder? Blitz fell harder. And I think that's, like, a big thing in this episode, is, like, Stolas definitely fell first and probably fell harder at, like, was feeling the relationship harder for a lot of the show. But Blitz deep down, I do think, fell harder because he's still in it. And he's still, like, I don't think he's ever going to fully shake this, even if they never end up Endgame, which I don't think is true. I think they will end up Endgame just by what the show is, even if I don't agree. I don't know if I don't agree. I don't want them to be Endgame from now to the end, but...
Yes.
There's
definitely a right and a wrong way to achieve the Stolitz endgame.
Yes.
We will see which way we go.
Yeah, we will see which way we go. But yeah, I think he does fundamentally love him so much, even if it doesn't end up being a romantic endgame thing. Like, I think he will never stop loving Stolas as a person, which just fucks me up so bad.
Yeah, Blitz loves people so deeply and completely, and I think that's why it's so hard for him. I mean, along with all of the, the trauma in his life, like, when you love someone so fully like that, it's so difficult to do because it's so much scarier, and I feel like that's true for him, and it's
And it makes sense that he's either really overbearing or he is so standoffish, I don't want to fucking talk to you, I don't want to get committed. Because when you love that hard and when you're so, like, just attached to people, like, going back to his exes and stuff, like, he's cutting shit off before it gets serious. One, because he's afraid of hurting people. We knew that.
Yeah, we all know that.
We all know that. That's like the whole theme of this season.
That's the thesis statement. Yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing is that, like, he's stopping himself from getting so attached because he knows it's going to hurt him later on, too. Mm-hmm. Even if he doesn't want to admit that part of it, because I think there's something deep down that he knows that most people don't fall in love or, like, love people like he loves people. Yeah. Which, that's a fucking hard thing.
Yeah.
Especially with Stolas here, because Stolas is usually so forward. And I don't know if Stolas loves people like Blitz loves people. I think that a lot of it is, like, compensating, and I think we haven't seen fully how Stolas loves yet. Yeah. Except for Via. But even that's complicated. Yeah. So I think it would be interesting to find that out. But anyway, maybe he feels more comfortable doing that with Stolas because Stolas so far has already shown so much affection and so much love outwardly. And so now having that shift, it's so interesting. They both, like, took a left turn. Yeah. In the wrong ways.
Yeah. I agree. And I think, shit, I lost what I was going to say. Hang on.
Yeah, sorry, I yapped for so long.
No, you're good.
Let him cook.
It's all good. Let me cook. Fuck. Shit, I have no fucking idea. I was going to say something about Stolas.
He turned the burner off.
The meal it burnt, and I burnt it so badly that it's unrecognizable. That's what happened.
I see.
But anyway,
I say. Sorry.
I say. Okay, so back at Blitz's silly little apartment, Stolas hands Blitz's jacket back as soon as they step inside. And this feels like a shift has happened here, which, I mean, you were just saying this, but, from this moment on in this episode, the little we see of, not little, but, the last few scenes in this episode, it feels like Stolas is actively rejecting Blitz. Not in that he doesn't love him still, but in that, like, he's done with this, it's caused him so much hurt and pain at this point. Not all of it Blitz's fault, just it's gotten him into a shitty situation. He just thinks he lost his daughter forever. Like, there is a shift here where he is not as... I mean, he was already kind of checked out emotionally before this, but now it's really, like, actively rejecting him.
Yeah, like...
That's fucked.
It is fucked. It's the difference between, like... there was a distance because he had a distance to everything in life, and now there's, like, an animosity to it. Like, a way where he's like, you are part of the problem, and me loving you is the big part of the problem. And, like, kind of that black and white thinking of someone who is mentally ill and off their meds, of, like, I cannot love my daughter if I love you. Which is not true, but that's probably what he's thinking.
Yeah, and then also just, like, holy shit, I keep losing my train of thought. Like, oh my god. Hang on, I'm rewinding in my brain what you just said, because I had something. Fucking hell. Yeah, the sort of, like, black and white thinking, and also, fucking A, man. I have no fucking idea what I was gonna say, I'm sorry. Jesus
You're
Christ.
good. Do you want to move on, and if you remember it?
Yeah, I know if I had, like 10 seconds to think, I could probably get it, but I don't want to just sit in silence for 10 seconds, so we could just move on.
So real. Yeah, and then we have Stolas's eyes shake, so he's not just scared, I mean, not just sad, but he is terrified and, like, stressed in the way that the eyes shake, which Stolas having pupils so far is still so interesting, because he has been experiencing heightened emotions this whole time, so we cannot tell if it's just a heightened emotion thing, or if it's a fixation of him now having no powers.
Yeah. Yeah. And then... so Blitz drapes the blanket around Stolas' shoulders, and then also fucking eats hot rocks to warm up his own body, and then sits in Stolas' lap to warm him up, which we're gonna just gloss over how fucking everything about that. Like, that is, like, just how casually he does that. That was an instinct. I don't know. It's crazy. But also, Bro's love language is keeping people warm, which is so fucked up when you think about it. And in the notes, I have put fire emoji, circus tent emoji, fire emoji.
Because you're fucking horrible and evil.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is interesting, especially too because the, like, love language of keeping people warm can also go the metaphorical route of, like, taking care of them, keeping them warm, and, like, first of all, he's been keeping him warm, and, like, he gave him his coat, and then he gave his coat back, and he immediately put a blanket over him.
Yeah.
Like, that's keeping people warm. But then also keeping people warm in the way of, like, you know, giving them a hug, making sure they feel cared for. Like, all of that is also keeping people warm. So, yeah. And then, but yeah, it's like, did his love go too far that he said, like, his literal love letter... go too far that he literally set him on fire. Like, that's...
We love metaphors and fire motifs.
Yeah.
But then, so this next part here, this part here, so...
we both highlighted it on the notes, sorry.
We both just highlighted the Google Doc. So this is one of those things that we're gonna say that is probably not true.
But if we don't say it, it will be true.
Yeah, we have to say it, because if it is true, we have literally cracked this thing wide open, and we're the smartest people on the planet, and you can never disagree with us ever again. So, that's the way I'll preface it. Do you want to... I think this was your thing originally, if you want to take this.
So there's there's a few things about this I'm not sure, because I think you did write this down because of me. I just stumbled over every single word in that sentence. There's a few things. First of all, there's someone on TikTok that has the AIM Duke of Hell theory, which maybe I'll talk about a little bit a different time because I want to, like, credit them. So that is, like, that's one of the things, and if you know what I'm talking about, like, you know this. But then the other thing, is this he can control fire?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that the prospect that Blitz can control fire and just doesn't know it yet, that's my theory. Because, like, he is so connected to fire all of the time. Like, and when he experiences probably, like, not the biggest, like, thing of love, like, the biggest burst with love of his life, because he has a shitty dad and we don't know the whole story with his mom. But, you know, like, his first love, he's going to say he loves him and then, like, doesn't. Like, that's a really strong emotion. And then he is near fire and catches the entire circus on fire. And then the kitchen in this episode, is that this episode that it catches on fire?
Yeah.
And that happens a lot, apparently. It happened last Sinsmas, when he was celebrating and he was probably experiencing high emotions. It happens later in this episode in the office. Not to pull a full Elsa, but I do think the fire... I guess a full reverse Elsa. I do think the fire is related to emotion in some way. And I also think that he can control it and he just doesn't know how. Because also his jacket catches on fire. With no source. And we talked about that last episode where we were like, how does that just catch on fire like that? How does he just spawn fire? So my theory is that he can control it. He doesn't know. And then if he does find out, learning how to harness that power will be really interesting because of all the trauma with fire. So, like, he's going to... If he learns that he can control it, imagine you set your best friend and your mom on fire, killing your mom... permanently disabling your best friend and making him hate you for how many years?
15.
15 years. And then you learn that you controlled it that whole time. Mm-hmm. That is crazy, and I would be really interested in how he takes that. Anyway, is there anything else you had to add to that? My God.
Yeah. So the thing with the circus fire that always, like, the fact that whole fire started because Blitz pushed over a guy carrying a cake with candles on it, like I get it. I get how that happened. Circus tent's flammable. All it takes is one little spark on the tent. Like, I get it. But it has always felt like a bit of a cop-out to me. Like, that's just such a little coincidence, like, it's insane that happened. That little moment caused that huge, horrible thing. And, maybe that's just part of the point, just to drive home, like, it was an accident. Who would have ever thought that this could happen this way? Like, no wonder Fizz spent all those years believing it was intentional, because how do you accidentally cause a fire like that?
Right.
But it has always felt a little silly to me. Like, really? He, like, shoved someone who was carrying a cake, and then all of that happened? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's... I don't know. It has always felt a little silly to me. And so if there was another layer to it, which I think it would make a lot of sense. It would be a crazy twist, and I don't know... I don't know. It'd be crazy. And I think it would explain also a lot of what I think we were saying it in our last episode about, like, the office catching on fire and Murder Family and, like, his kitchen and stuff, and how just what's the word I'm looking for? Like, he's so not, oh my God, nonchalant about it. Which, like, for a guy with fire trauma, that's like, what the hell? Why are you so indifferent to these places being set on fire? Like, even if it's something that happens often, like, it's still something that I feel like you'd have a big reaction to. But if he has some sort of, like, internal emotional connection to fire that, like, he doesn't know about, like, that would explain why he's still able to be comfortable with it despite everything that's happened.
And it would also explain his different reactions to it if it's fire that he starts and he can control it because he starts it, as opposed to fire that he can't control. And this, there's more caveats to this because obviously he didn't, like, necessarily start the circus fire, but he, but I do think that was linked. But, like, for example, the earth fire, he was terrified of that earth fire. Yeah. But he probably would have no link to that. No internal link if he has one. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting that the circus fire, if he did, like, inadvertently cause that with some power, it's interesting that it did also hurt him so badly. But I don't think that discredits the theory in any way. I think that's just, like, a sign of how, the emotion of that moment. Yeah. And then, the other thing, we won't talk about the Duke aim thing here, although maybe we could do a bonus episode or something on this. Yeah. I think there would have to be some other, like, if this firepower thing were to be true, which we're not saying that it is necessarily, but, if it was, wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. But I don't think it could be true without some other level of, like, there has to be a reason why Blitz would have that power. So, and, with, Stolas being, brought down to the lower class, I've seen a lot of people speculating, like, maybe Blitz is gonna go up to the higher class somehow. And so if he has some, like, secret power he doesn't know about, maybe he does have a connection. Like, there are connections here. It sounds crazy, but I think it's possible. And at the very least, it's very compelling and is a fun alternate universe type of thing. But I don't know. I think there are, it's a possibility, I would say.
Yeah. A few little things I just wanted to note between, like, the big tangents we had. One, I do think it's worth noting that the circus fire only spread as far as it did because of the fireworks as well. Oh, right, yeah. Like, but you're right in the fact that circus tent caught so quickly, and then that's what made the fireworks go. So, like, you are right that was, but that could just be cartoon magic. But, that was really quick. So I think what you're saying does have some value. But also, the only reason it spread everywhere, like, the whole circus grounds, is because of those fireworks going everywhere. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. but then also, I'm not gonna go deep into the Duke of Hell thing, but just brief. Like you were saying, like the people saying that he's gonna go up in status, that kind of is the whole theory of like, the fact that, like, basically saying that Blitz has a status, like has a title, and he just hasn't gotten it because he's an imp. But the whole thing is that happened because of like the different species breeding. Like he's a hybrid, but if that didn't happen, he wouldn't be like that. He has Goetian blood, or he has something more similar to like Stella's blood, like not quite Goetian but royal in some sense. And so he would be a duke, which is below the Goetias. And I could see that, and then that would make sense why he has a firepower, and like that would run, and it would be for a cool story. I wouldn't be too upset about it, but I would be a little upset because the whole, not the whole story, but a big part of the story is the class divide thing. So if they did this thing and he was the only imp that survived because he's special, and because he has a special lineage, and because he is actually the Duke of Hell, I think that would undermine literally everything.
Oh yeah. I agree.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
So as much as I like that theory, like storytelling wise, I think it's a great theory. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that genuinely, I do think that is a way the show might go, because it's so rooted in, as we call it, hell lore. Like I do, like that is a very big possibility in my mind that could happen.
Yeah.
I don't think they should necessarily.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say that the whole, even if he's not a full-on Duke of Hell, like the whole Blitz being elevated to a higher status theory in general, I think if that was going to happen, I don't want that to be like an endgame thing, you know? Like, I think it would have to be some temporary in some way, like, I don't know. It would just, if the show like ended with Blitz like being this higher status, super powerful guy, and that's like his happy ending, that totally feels like a slap in the face almost, because of, you know, everything else that this show is about. So yeah.
The other caveat to that, though, is so, like, the whole thing is, like, the natural born being the Duke of Hell that I don't agree with. Like, I don't like the idea that he is, like, fundamentally more powerful than any given other imp.
Yeah.
Which kind of discredits the fire theory, as cool as it is. I think that's more of an AU thing, though, if anything.
Yeah.
I would love for all the imps to have a little power that they don't know about, and then they all figure it out. That would be so fucking cool. But the... hold on. I could see something interesting along the lines of, like, they try to elevate Blitz because he's been so powerful, so that he won't be an imp and he won't be a lower class, and they can keep treating the other people poorly because he is a higher status, and then him denying it, or maybe going along with a little bit and then denying it, because, you know, ultimate power, not always a clean, like, decline because it's everything you ever wanted kind of trope.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that could be interesting. I don't like the, like, natural born better thing.
Yeah.
But if they were to do it to somehow benefit the class system that's working right now, I think that could be interesting.
Yeah. I can almost see like a this might sound crazy, but a Vanellope kind of thing from Wreck-It Ralph, where she discovers she's this princess and she just immediately rejects it and is like, okay, no, but I'm still me, and then like instates this whole new power structure, like literally like that kind of thing, where Blitz finds out or like gets this class title and he's like, okay, we're changing this whole fucking thing, man. Like, I don't want that. Fuck you.
Yeah, I definitely didn't consciously make that connection, but Wreck-It Ralph was my movie as a kid, so I think unconsciously that was there.
I've been thinking about it this entire time, I won't lie.
Real. I fucking love that movie. If you haven't seen Wreck-It Ralph, what the fuck are you doing?
So fucking good. Like, it has no business being that good. What the hell?
I rewatched it decently recently, I think when I was sick, and oh my god. Mwah.
So good. Mwah. We love you, Wreck-It Ralph. Mwah.
Mwah. Not Ralph Breaks the Internet. Separate movie.
No. Fuck you. Bitch. But yeah, is that all we have to say on Blitz firepower
I think that's gonna be all we
AU.
have to say.
Yeah, I think we gotta shut the fuck up. Cool. So then, did you have something?
I sighed because Stolas and Blitz both huggy themselves instead of each other when they're on the couch and they're like quote unquote cuddling. Like when Blitz has
is in his fucking lap.
Yeah, and Blitz is warm. Right? He's just eating the stones.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Blitz is like hugging himself, which Blitz always does that, so that's not that weird. But Stolas is also like hugging himself, and they're not at all interacting with each other except for Blitz being like literally on his lap and like not just sitting like he's not even sitting like straight up on his lap. He's like sitting sideways, like laying his head on his chest, kind of thing. So it's like, yeah, it's like it's interesting because Stolas isn't like get up or like pushing him off. Like he's letting him sit there.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just cold, but like
Stolas like, damn, I don't really want to talk right now, but I am chilly, so I guess I'll let this happen.
And honestly, Blitz does get off his lap later, so that would be really funny if that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, there's so much guilt in both of them in this moment. You know, Stolas guilty about everything with Octavia, and Blitz guilty because he feels that it's his fault, and it's just so... See, this show is so good at showing things with just, like, you know, actions when they want to, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this little detail of them just hugging themselves and, like, both being... Like, yeah, that's great. Why did they have to kiss and say all that
literally,
bullshit?
it's too because recently, especially, they've been better at that, like, just showing little things through details. And they're so good at putting nuggets of things and letting... I'm hesitant to say they're good at letting things build, but some things they are really good at letting it build. So to have this is just, like you were saying earlier, kind of like a slap in the face. Like, it's like, why? There's no reason this need to make the final cut. Like, and then going forward in this, like, there's like a montage, Blitz is sitting on his lap, and then I think when people start showing up, he moves off his lap is what it is, so it's like an not like to be super PDA. But I like the idea that he was just cold. But in one of these clips, Blitz has a weird, like, smile on his face, and he almost appears intoxicated, which is weird.
Yeah, because this is right when the party has, like, started in earnest. And, like, there are... I don't know if we can visibly see drinks, but I think we can even. Like, I think Luna has drinks and stuff. And
and I think it's implied that the whole time, the whole Gluttony crew is drinking.
Yeah. So it looks... He has, like, a weird face on it. I genuinely was, like... I was really thrown off by it because he doesn't act, you know... I mean, we've only seen him drunk the one time, and that was, like, to, you know, a large degree. But he's not acting anything like that here. So it doesn't really make sense that he would be intoxicated in the scene. It doesn't seem like he is, but it's worth mentioning because it threw us for a loop.
And because, as you guys know, we go frame by frame, so it's one of those phases that's like we couldn't put quite on anything else. And then also, as you know, we're really intense about at least I am, about Blitz's fucking addiction and recovery journey. So it's like, if he is intoxicated in all of this, first of all, that changes everything. Because if he hasn't been drinking a lot, which is what I suspect, and he's intoxicated for this whole balcony scene, that's fucking insane. Second of all, if he relapsed here, just on everything we've been talking about, and assuming that he hasn't drank since Queen Bee, and we didn't see him drink at the fucking I Hate Blitzo party, which would have been a great time for him to drink, like, guilt-wise. For him to drink here, first of all, would be such a big storytelling thing. Second of all, it needs to be, like, a clarified thing, yes or no, you know?
Yeah,
because it changes everything.
Yeah.
Especially because he turns it down later, too.
Yeah, that it makes me think that he's not drunk.
Yeah.
Or he hasn't.
So then why he got this face? It could just be a silly little animation thing, but... Yeah,
you know, there's people at his house party and he happy. Luna has friends, he happy for her. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. And then Moxie calls Stolas Your Highness, and Stolas says, "You don't have to address me like that." Which, first of all, Stolas and Moxie, or Millie for that matter, have not really interacted, like, at all. So it was interesting to even see them talk to each other.
Yeah.
But then it also, we were kind of joking that this is like, you know my name, use it in a different font. Because it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's not the same, but it has a similar charge to it almost.
Yeah, it feels like it's meant to be a parallel, but it doesn't quite work as a parallel. I think it is mostly Stolas being like, that's not my status anymore.
Yeah.
But also kind of getting to that level of like, hey, I'm one of you now. So I think it has like a little bit of, like, has a bit of two things in it.
Yeah.
But also, that is really interesting because Moxie has said Your Highness, or I think he even refers to Stolas as like the Prince a lot. Or something like of that variety, like when he's talking to Blitz about Stolas, like he doesn't say Stolas.
Yeah. It's like Blitz is the only like person who refers to Stolas just by his name, really. And that makes sense because he is royalty.
Yeah. And I think Millie, even though, will be like sarcastic sometimes, but Moxie is never like that. Like Moxie's like the Prince, Your Highness, very respectful of him.
Very,
and so,
sir.
Yeah. But so for him to say, you don't have to address me like that here is kind of big. Like he's never said it before.
Yeah. Yeah.
On a later note, love that Moxie did horse cookies.
Yeah, why did Moxie did Blitz request horse cookies? Did Moxie just make these, like...
To make him happy. Yeah. Said happy Sinsmas.
Yeah. Blitz, like, calls Moxie, like, an hour before the party and is like, hey, Stolas is feeling pretty down. Can you make some horse cookies? And Moxie's like, 1, I wish you'd given me more than an hour's notice. 2, what sets a horse cookie apart from a normal cookie? And Blitz is like, a cookie shaped like a horse, Moxie, you fucking idiot. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
No, literally. And Blitz genuinely still thinks that horses cheer Stolas up. Like, he hasn't put 2 and 2 together that the exact things that cheer him up don't exactly, like, necessarily cheer Stolas up. He just thinks that that's the case.
Yeah.
That's really
Blitz
funny.
Is like, horse make me happy, therefore horse make the whole world happy.
No, literally, I think that's what he thinks. And also, another thing, they're all, and this is also just goes into Blitz's drawings of the horses, so that's another thing. Did Moxie find Blitz, like, how long has he been planning this? Has he been taking pictures of all of Blitz's horse drawings? Like, what is the build-up of this? But Blitz draws Stolas as a giraffe. I feel like we need...
Yes.
We need to address this. It's not like a long horse or like a taller horse. Like, it is a horse with a long neck that is a giraffe.
Yeah. I have this a little further down in the notes, I think. Your text that you sent me when you had this realization. But yeah. Blitz, yeah.
It's in the scene of where we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, we have a chain of text to talk about now for Blitz's and the pregnancy. Well, Millie's pregnancy test and Blitz's thing.
Yeah. Yep. So Blitz like says, "Hey, where's Mills?" and looks to the bathroom. And like it's very clear. Like he looks in the direction of the bathroom. And then we see Millie, like, throwing out the box of the pregnancy test in his garbage. So sort of implying that, you know, Blitz has the potential to piece this together here and possibly cause some drama, you know, figure things out before she reveals it. Alternatively, though, we were goofing around a bit. Do you want to just, like, we each read our message?
Yeah, which is which, though?
You're the gray.
Okay. It's not from my phone, so therefore I was like, I have no idea how to read this. Oh shit, you think Blitz is gonna try to figure out if birds can get pregnant like male birds? He's gonna be like, I know you have a cloaca, so I'm not really sure how bird anatomy works.
Lol, so true. Or Blitz thinks it's Luna.
Oh, true, I didn't even think of that.
He starts being like, Looney, you know you can tell me anything, right? And I would support you no matter what, and you never have to go through anything alone. I promise I can help you with whatever you need. And Luna's like, Dad, I love you, but what the fuck are you talking about?
And then I say, haha, that's really good. And I say, then he goes to Stolas and he's like, so I didn't think male birds could get pregnant, but if you are, just tell me. I know you're going through a lot, but we can still figure this out, okay? And Stolas is like, Blitz, why do you think I can get pregnant? And then Blitz is like, well, am I pregnant? Because someone in this house is.
Well, yeah, exactly. Then he... oh my god, I coughed from laughing. Then he finally pulls Millie and Moxie into his office at work and is like, someone is secretly pregnant. And Millie's like, oh god, oh fuck. And then Blitz says, I'm not sure if it's Stolas or Luna, and I haven't ruled out myself as a suspect either, but...
the fact that he, like, gaslights himself into being pregnant, I know is not gonna happen, but I really want it to.
Yeah, and end of text chain. So that's our alternative theory.
Yeah.
Blitz goes, like, full detective mode. Yeah.
I need you all to know that not only do we do shit like this with, like, quotes, like, everything we read that was, like, when he's, like, is in quotes, as if we're, like, writing a scene. But then, also, we voice text all the time. We'll be like, hey, do you ever think about... And it's just the most insane theory about this show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have the podcast, but we also have whatever the fuck this is.
We basically have our own podcast in our voice messages, like, straight up.
It's bad.
Yeah. And then also, we get a glimpse of, like, Millie's family home for Sinnsmith when she calls Sally Mae, and it looks like, everyone is there. It looks like Millie is the only one who doesn't go home, which is interesting.
I think it's possible that everyone does live there is the only thing.
Right, yeah.
I don't know if it's confirmed that I think Sally Mae does still live there. I don't know if Sally Mae is, like, under 18, though.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I didn't think so either. I think it might just be, like, a thing she still lives there, or she still lives nearby, because it's a whole thing of, like, in Hell's Bells, I think there's some type of banter, and it's been a while since I watched that, but I think there's some kind of banter along the lines of, like, well, you don't come to visit. Mm-hmm. I think implying that she's at least local to them, if not living with them.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also the fact that Millie calls Sally Mae in this situation because they're closer now, like after Hell's Bells and all that, and feels
they're
comfortable.
sisters.
They're sisters. I love sisters. Yippee! There's something. No, that's not true. I was gonna say there's something so Millie and Sally Mae about Bucket and Craft, which first
everybody on this podcast understands. Of course, your D&D characters.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say which those words mean nothing to literally anyone else. But I'm gonna ruminate on that.
No, you're kind of right,
anyway.
though. Yeah, I see.
Yeah,
it.
right. Yeah.
Anyway, the balcony.
The balcony, the final scene.
Yep.
Fuck. Okay, so Blitz chooses to talk to Stolas instead of playing the drinking games with Luna and her friends. He's sort of like, actively choosing not to fall into guilt and self-destruction over what happened, which ends up, obviously it's the smarter choice to make, but also it ends up working out because, like, he goes out to talk to Stolas, and Stolas right off the bat is like, you don't have to feel guilty about my situation. Like, he gets that reassurance, where alternatively he could have just kind of wallowed in, feeling guilty about it. So it kind of...
Yeah. Which, it feels like that's kind of what he... not in the same vein, obviously, but the last time that Stolas and him had an issue, not the last time, because the last time was full moon, but, like, the last time before this season, being Aussie's and Queen Bee, he went home and he, like, tried to soothe himself, but then he was around he got brought to a place where he'd be around alcohol, and he caved and he relapsed, assuming that addiction is a thing. I am saying it is. And so here he's actively being like, he has that exact same opportunity with the exact same people, even, or at least some of them, and he's actively being like, no, I'm going to work through this. That's fucking character growth. That's fucking addiction recovery.
Yeah.
That's
huge.
I'm giving snaps.
Yeah. No, it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's also choosing Stolas over Luna here, like, to an extent. Like, he's not, like,
It's not the same, but...
Yeah, he's not, like, risking his life for Stolas, and leaving his daughter behind, and then getting exiled. Like, it's not the same. But he is, like, in a very literal sense, he chooses to go see Stolas instead of to sit with his daughter. And that is very much a shift of, like, we've never seen him put Stolas first like this. Meanwhile, Stolas has almost always put Blitz first, including and especially over Octavia.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Very interesting.
No, that's true. It is very interesting. I didn't mean to say the same exact thing as
Very interesting. Yeah, that's true. It's very...
Yeah, literally. And then Blitz says, "You mind if I steal?" And Stolas says, "Since when have you ever asked?" So charged.
So charged. Like, okay. Damn.
Okay, cunt. Like...
Okay. And Blitz doesn't even snap back at him. Like...
No.
I mean, you give Blitz any kind of attitude and he will snap right back. But he doesn't do that here. And it's just, there's the double entendre here. There's, yeah.
Yeah. Audie, I just realized that I'm going to have to bleep this for YouTube because I've said cunt twice.
We say cunt in this show a lot on our podcast.
Yeah, we're not popular enough? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think, do you usually bleep it? Because we've definitely said it a lot before.
We have said it. I feel like we don't say it a lot. I didn't know if we'd said it since we put it on YouTube.
All of our stuff is on YouTube.
It is now, yeah, you're right. Never mind, anyway. When you, like, sit down and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
I just had one of those moments. Because that's, like, that's the one no word of YouTube.
Yeah, but that's only, it would get us demonetized, but we're not monetized anyway.
Oh, I thought it just would get us in trouble.
No,
okay, sorry. I think we did not need to talk logistics on the podcast. I just got so scared.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Bro did not want to do more editing.
I did not, dude. This comes out at noon tomorrow. It's 8:30 p.m. I did not want to do more editing.
Yeah.
Where are we?
Saving you was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Saving you was the right thing to do, and you've risked your life for mine now in return. Has a lot of finality to it.
Yeah.
Gives favors for favors.
Favors for favors, a whole new meaning. Like, wow, we've come a long way.
Favors for favors is almost getting fucking killed for each other.
Yeah, but see, this is what we were saying earlier about the kiss, where they acknowledge, like, you just risked your life for mine. So did you. Like, that did not need to be said. They literally talk about it here. It feels so much more natural here. And, yeah.
This genuinely is a great scene. I think when I first watched it, I didn't like it because of the kiss scene before. Mm-hmm. Like, it was like, okay, why are we back here? But now that I've thought, like, okay, if we cut out that kiss scene, like, that's the problem. This is a great scene.
Yeah. Yeah, this scene isolated is great.
Yeah, just fucking get rid of the kiss. Like, it didn't need to happen.
God. Yeah. And then also, Stolas says, it was my choice. It was all my choice. Which is Stolas kind of, like, he got to make a choice for himself for, like, kind of the first time in his life. Like, Blitz, for him, this whole relationship they've had, that's been him making a choice for himself. And it kind of reached its peak here, like, with Mastermind and whatever, but now he has to live with the consequences of it, and that is, the epic highs and lows of the human experience are being able to make choices, but then also having to live with them. Like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Especially, too, because and I'm not saying that people fundamentally understand this thing when they're children, but, like, that's what you learn when you're a child.
Yeah.
Like, and not that all parenting works this way, because it definitely doesn't, but, like, the whole concept of gentle parenting, at least, is, like, natural consequences, because that's how you learn, because that's how the world is. So, yeah, for this guy, how old is he?
35-ish or something? I don't know. 30s.
For this guy who's, like, 30, in his 30s, not just that he hasn't made choices and faced consequences yet, he hasn't had the opportunity to make a choice to face a consequence.
Yeah.
So he has this freedom that he's like, okay, fuck, I finally have freedom, and that's great, but now he has to learn how to be a person, and that's like, ugh, that sucks. I would hate to learn how to be a person in my 30s. I know most people learn how to be a person in their 30s to some degree, but this is like a toddler learning to be a person in their 30s.
Yeah. Yeah. And then sort of leading into the next thing, going back to, like, the finality in the way he's speaking. He says about Octavia, she's gone. For 100 years, she's gone. And after all that time, she'll never forgive me. Again, like, he's living with the consequences of this choice, but just kind of taking it as, like, okay, well, that's it. Like, it's over. I ruined it. That's the end. It's, like, depression doom spiral to the max, but also it makes sense, like, if you've never been able to make your own choices, like, when you finally get to do that, and then it goes wrong or doesn't go how you wanted it to, then yeah, like, that's gonna feel like it's so over, like, it's so understandable that he feels that way, and it seems to be like giving up in more ways than one.
Yeah, and I think, again, going back to that black and white thinking of being mentally ill, I think black and white thinking is inherently what causes doom spiraling, obviously. But it's like wow, I am never going to see my daughter again. There's no other option. And because of this, I'm the worst person ever, and I'm only bad. And I haven't, or like the whole, like, I haven't been able to make choices because I suck kind of, like, mentality. Yes. It's so bad for him, not for the show writing. For the show writing, it's great, but for him, it sucks.
Yeah. And then Blitz mentions Barbie. All I wrote in the notes is Blitz mentions Barbie, and then in brackets, kills self.
There's so much more to it.
There's so much to unpack there. I figured we could just vamp on that, I guess, because, like...
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory how fucking huge and insane that is. But then, we were also, I think, talking last episode about the whole deadbeat thing. And that parallel between Blitz and Stolas, and how, like, Luna is Blitz's daughter, but before that, he was, it seems, expected to be more of a parental figure to his twin sister. And so it's not so much, like, there are parallels between Stolas and Octavia, and then Blitz and Luna, but almost more so there are these parallels between Stolas and Octavia and Blitz and Barbie, and so him mentioning her here is like,
No, I do genuinely think, like, I think everyone was like, oh yeah, Octavia and Stolas and Blitz and Luna, and it's like the single dads and they're gonna make a mixed family, which I do think, like, there's valid in that, but, like, everyone was like, oh yeah, the parallels there. Little did they fucking know they were hiding this one on us, that it's fucking Barbie and Octavia. It makes so much sense, like, the whole getting to make these choices and take care of someone, not having to and getting to separate. Well, actually, they're both having to. But, like, being responsible for this person and then making the wrong decision and being called a deadbeat and whatever, even if it's not fully justified or valid. But it's, it just, the fact that they parallel each other makes me so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And then also just the fact that Blitz mentions Barbie here is huge, because I don't think he's told, I think he hasn't told anyone about Barbie in actuality, like, about what happened with Barbie, or, like, the fact that they're strained. He only told Moxie that it was his sister, and that was it.
Yeah. I mean, Fizz might know. Well, I mean...
Yeah.
Fizz might be able to guess. I mean, we don't even... Like, we assume, like, the fire, or, like, everything, her blaming him for that, but it could have been stuff after. We don't even really know for sure what the story is there, and I really hope... I think we will get more insight into that in the next season, and that's very exciting.
Yeah. Well, because our lovely listener, Jessica, who talks to us on Instagram all the time, love you, Jessica.
Yes, we love you,
Jessica. Was it from a con that she got this information? Or a Q&A?
I don't remember what information you're going to say, I'm going to be honest, but probably from a con.
A con, some kind of event. That next season is going to be about addiction and family.
Yes, they have, like, a word or two that is, like, the theme for each season. And those are the words for season 3, which makes sense and is exciting.
Is really exciting. I am fucking pumped.
Yeah. Addiction, I mean, everything we've been saying this whole fucking time is gonna be... We're gonna get something, so that's...
Yeah. And there's Stolas, and there's Blitz, and there's Barbie, and there's just so much that they can do with it. Verosica, and I do hope they get, but I hope that since it's family and addiction, both of those, that we get Barbie. We get more screen Barbie. Maybe some Barbie flashbacks. Like, I want to know that full story, and I feel like that being the theme, like, that's very likely.
Yeah. I'm very excited.
I think also the fact that he says my twin sister, because when in Unhappy Campers, when Moxie goes, do you know her? He goes, that's my fucking sister. He doesn't say that's my twin sister. Like, there's some intimacy of, like, my twin sister here. It's like this conversation is the single-handedly most intimate thing that's happened on this show.
I literally saw someone post on Tumblr, like, this is sex to me, this scene.
Yeah.
Like, forget the kiss earlier this episode. I was like, yeah, no, you get it. This is the most intimate thing in this whole fucking show.
This and the conversation about the circus fire that Blitz and Fizz have. Those two.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
those
and
are
when
sex.
when Blitz and Fizz inevitably have sex on screen, you know, that I'm sure that will take the cake, but
that'll just be a makeout level. That's
yeah.
They're talking about their trauma while fucking.
If anyone would, it's fucking those two.
Yeah.
That's why they're not gonna be endgame. They have a little, like, you know, dating / fucking arc, but they just keep, like, it becomes like a trauma bond, and they're like, this is not healthy for us, we gotta stop.
They both go through, like, a really healthy therapy kind of thing, and then it comes to a point where it's like, yeah, we can't be doing this anymore, we're healed.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are spewing absolute nonsense.
We've been recording for almost 2 hours, but we're so close.
We're so close.
Hang in there. Luna calls Blitz back in to join the drinking games and to show up Russ. So, I mean, we kind of talked about this already, like, whether or not he's drank at all since Queen Bee. I think it goes without saying, like, Luna, you know, doesn't understand the significance of what that night actually was.
Yeah. But I feel like that does imply, because there was a whole thing about Queen Bee, how it was like, okay, did they, like, because Luna and him had that really cynical conversation.
Yeah.
And so it was like did they have a conversation in the morning about it? Did she ask him about it? I feel like this implies that they definitely didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's worth noting.
Yeah. And then Blitz says to Stolas, I guess they want me back in there, which is like, is he considering it? Honestly, I've been thinking about this line. To me, it almost reads as like, he's looking for Stolas to be like, no, stay. But then Stolas does the opposite and says, like, you don't have to stay here with me. And that makes it even more important that Blitz chooses to stay here. Like, he's, like, looking for Stolas to be like, oh, no, don't, like, come, can you, like, stay and talk to me or whatever, you know, like Stolas would usually try to do. And then even when Stolas doesn't give him that, Blitz is still like, okay, I'm making the choice because I would rather be out here with him. And that's just so fucking insane that we've gotten here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think it also mirrors the, like, I want someone who cares, and, like, I want someone, like, that thing, that whole rant in the, like, don't get on that train, Gabriella, because I can't. Is it Gabriella?
I think so.
Because I can't live without you.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Stolas wants, and, like, so for Blitz to be looking for something not to that caliber, but of the same sentiment from Stolas, that's really interesting. Like, that's another role reversal. And, like, has he been looking for that the whole time? Like, when Stolas does say, like, I want, like, you don't have to when he gives him the crystal, I want you to stay. Like, you don't have to, but I do want you to stay.
Yeah.
Like, was Blitz deep down looking for that the whole time? Is that part of the reason he flips the fuck out? Because he's like, no way you're giving me this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I want to know how much everything's been brewing, how much Blitz was actually aware of until right now.
Yeah. And yeah, that whole, you don't have to stay here with me. Literally, Stolas says the same line there in Full Moon, and then here on the balcony. But, like, and Full Moon, I mean, Full Moon was so many months ago now in real life, but in the context of the show, it was only a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
And this line of dialogue is said verbatim the same way twice, just a few episodes apart, but with such a different feel to them. And then the way that Blitz reacts both times is so it's so telling. It's so good.
Yeah. No, it's so fucking good. You want to take this next one?
This is mostly a joke, but like Blitz, like he steps onto the railing ledge to like dance with Stolas, but Stolas, before he understands what's going on, he looks so fucking concerned. And you know, Stolas is, as we've said, suicidal out the wazoo right now. He's off his meds, and I think he thinks Blitz is about to fucking jump. Like,
do you think while Stolas is like standing here smoking his cigarette that he's like looking down and being like, I could?
Literally, like, do you think a fall from this height would kill me?
No, like, dead ass.
Yeah, and then Blitz, you know, again, he lived that circus life. He's acrobatic as fuck, so it makes sense that he would very confidently just stand up on this balcony. And Stolas even knows that he performed at a circus, but still, just when you're that fucking down in the dumps and suicidal and you watch someone just hop up onto a railing, like, yeah, who knows how many feet above the ground, like, the pure shock on his face in that split second is so funny to me.
Yeah. And then Blitz is, like, talking about whatever, and then he says, you're like one of the, or he says, I'm like 4 fucking feet tall.
Oh yeah, height confirmation, by the way.
4 feet tall.
4 feet tall. So how tall are Millie and Moxie? Crazy. Anyway.
Less than 4, like 3 something. Yeah. But he says to Stolas, you're like one of those really very tall horses. And Stolas doesn't question this at all. Just fully goes with it, which is so sweet because he's been doing that. He's just been going with the horse thing and being so supportive. Yeah. But that I also did text Audie and say, Audie, when Blitz says one of those really very tall horses, do you think he means giraffes? Because I had this revelation. I think I like saw a text post with like a picture of the cookies or something. Maybe I saw like a drawing. I don't know exactly what it was. I saw one of his horse drawings and I was like, no fucking way. So yeah, I think he's talking about giraffes. Does he know what giraffes are?
I think maybe that Blitz thinks giraffes are horses.
Yeah.
Blitz is like it's all horses, always has been. Has been a hotel.
It really has been hotel.
Someone's got to do that with that that meme format where it's like, wait, it's all hotel, always has been.
That's true. Mark that in your thing so we can clip it later.
Okay, I will.
But yeah.
And then the way Stolas laughs here, Blitz makes some, little sex joke while they're dancing together. And the way that Stolas laughs is like much more distant and subdued than it would usually be. Like, it's not a laugh we've really heard. So even in this sweet little moment, he's not fully like here. Bro is checked the fuck out. But I mean, it's nice that he's enjoying himself to a degree with this little dance.
Yeah. I think also, I've seen a lot of people say this. I don't really know which one it is. It's either like a distant/subdued thing, or it's like a genuine laugh and not like a social laugh. Like, it's possible that all the other ones we've seen are more like social, flirty kind of laughs.
Yeah,
and this one is a genuine because it like legitimately catches him off guard. Because he's not laughing and having fun in his current mental state, but, like, this thing just catches him off guard. And, like, I could see that a little bit more because the laugh, it's, like, it's so, like, airy and, like, naive almost. It's like a little giggle.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, just a note about them dancing. There's a very popular Stolitz animatic called Sway that, when this episode dropped, everyone was like, oh my god, it's the fucking Sway animatic. They fucking predicted it. And I'm not as familiar with that animatic as other people are. Like, I've seen it. But I just wanted to shout that out because we talked about the the Stay animatic when Mastermind dropped, and now, all these Stolitz animatics, they're popping off.
They're right.
They're prophetic as fuck.
No, Sway is one that I like. When I watched this, I was like, oh, Sway, they predicted it. Like, I'd watched it enough to that, but it wasn't like my favorite. Stay, though, like, no one knows fucking Stay.
No one knows Stay. Yeah, Sway is such a popular one, but Stay, that's like our our Bible.
Yeah.
That's like a religious text for us.
I think Stay is so much sweeter, personally. But I do like Sway. Like, I like it.
Yeah.
And, like, the idea of, like, him getting on a table to be at an even level, and, like, that's exactly what he does in the show with the railing is nice. Yeah. I do wonder, like, I don't really think it's true for, but I do wonder if this was at all inspired by the Sway animatic because it's so popular. Like, they were like, oh, we should put him on a surface. Like, the team saw it.
Yeah, Sway was long enough ago that could be possible, I think, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think it could. It's pretty old. But that, like, also is a far reach. But I don't believe that the animators aren't, like, in the fandom. So I like to think that is possible.
Yeah. And then... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say probably the same thing you were going to say, that Blitz looks at Stolas's lips, and then Stolas looks at Blitz's lips, out of sync with each other, and then they both look, and, like, well, out of sync, they see that each other is looking.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's both, it's notable that they're out of sync, like, you know, it sort of indicates that in an emotional, more metaphorical sense, they are not on the same wavelength with regards to their feelings for each other right now.
Yeah.
But then also, yeah, like, because they do it out of sync, they see each other looking at each other's lips. And then Blitz, like, looks surprised for a moment, but then he smiles and just pulls Stolas in for a hug. Which, again, this is sex. Like, this is so intimate and so sweet, and it sure would have been made more powerful if they didn't kiss earlier in the episode. But, you know, that's life.
Yeah, and I need to stop bringing up Blitz Fizz. I know.
No, please.
But it does mirror the hug that Blitz and Fizz have in Oops. Not even mirror, it's, like, mirror in the general sense, it's the opposite. Because I didn't mean the general sense, I meant the literal sense. But anyway, in that one, Blitz hugs Fizz, and then he says, would it kill the moment right now if we made out? So it's the opposite here, where they look at each other's lips, they're gonna kiss, oh no, and then he hugs him. And I think maybe it's, and this might be a reach, but maybe it's like he learned that, like, the intimacy of the hug with Fizz was such a healing thing, and such a, like, it was more intimate than if they had made out. So now he's doing that with Stolas.
Yeah. And then Stolas does not hug Blitz back, which it could just be like, you know, bro is emotionally drained. Bro is checked out mentally. But also, he looks up to the full moon, and that, it just feels like there are layers there.
Yeah.
This is what we were saying earlier, like, it feels like Stolas is, you know, he is actively, like, rejecting / disengaging from any kind of romantic relationship with Blitz. This almost feels like a last dance for him. I don't know. There's just a lot of finality in everything for him that Blitz does not seem to be, like, picking up on, or,
I think also, like, actively rejecting the hug is kind of an act of, like, I'm not picking you, kind of thing, to, like, protect himself from his own fear of, like, I'm picking him over my daughter. Yeah.
Also, just a side note, it's not really important, but there's no fucking way that this, I like, sat up in bed when I had this realization. I was like, hang the fuck on, because there's a full moon on Halloween, as we know. Like, we see that in Apology Tour. But then there's another full moon here on Sinmas, which it seems to be Sinmas and Christmas on the same day. So, but there's no way that there's a full moon on Halloween and then another full moon on Christmas. Like, statistically, the odds of that happening are near impossible. And it doesn't really matter. It's fine. I just have to say it, because, you know, next thing you know, the next season they're gonna be like, oh, the cycle of the moon is off and the world is exploding. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to point it out. Yeah.
One thing to note, though, is that assuming that the lunar cycles are the same on Earth and in Hell, the full moon was the day before Halloween, which makes it, I'm sure, like, this tiny bit more statistically probable. Like, not a significant amount at all. But, and the moon does look full in Apology Tour and when they go to the Halloween party and stuff. But that doesn't exactly mean that it's full. It could be like the day after it's full would be just slightly less and barely visible at all. But we know that it was a full moon because of their arrangement.
Yes. No, there are ways to rationalize it to make it make at least somewhat more sense. But a full moon can occur over 2 days. So the full moon and Apology Tour, like, it could still be a full moon and Apology Tour. Like, even though it was officially, like, the day before, you know? So...
Yeah. I'm thinking also, though, with that logic, if, like, it was the day before, that puts a day there, and then maybe the one in Sinnsmiss is not exactly a full moon. Like, it's getting there. Like, maybe a few days off. Which, again, it doesn't make that much of a difference, and this is not a super important thing anyway.
Yeah, it does not matter, but...
No.
You know.
But it's... I don't know. You were getting crazy about it, so I wanted to get crazy about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then credits. We did it.
We did it. Credits have an X.
Has an X through the O, same as it has been for a while. So, there we go. Woo!
Don't you love 4 hours of content on one episode? This is just like the old days.
Yeah. Okay. Closing business, because it's closing for quite a bit now.
This is season 2 wrapped.
This is season 2 wrapped. We're done. We did it. So we're going on a little hiatus now. We don't know exactly how long, but we'll let you know, on the wink wink Instagram and newsletter wink wink. Go follow us and subscribe wink wink.
At AA Discussions wink wink.
Yes. And obviously Helluva Boss season 3 is not going to be starting up for a while. We might get some shorts fairly soon, but maybe not till the Level Up convention. So, and there's not, like, we're not going to have, like, proper Helluva content for a while, but that doesn't mean we're going to do nothing. We have a lot of bonus content we want to do, as we said. We also still have the existing shorts to talk about. So, yeah, little hiatus, but then we'll be back soonish with some fun stuff that we haven't had the time to do until now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we also mentioned possibly we do have like a Ko-fi, but more piloting stronger, a Ko-fi or a Patreon or something of that a thing. So look out for that as well. Because we had some people that said that you would so kindly go on there.
Yeah.
What's it called? It's not subscribing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Is it subscribe? I don't know how it works.
With Patreon, I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll let you know. Yeah. So whenever we do come back from our hiatus, our schedule will be probably wacky. I don't know. We don't fully know what we're doing. We're kind of playing it by ear and just doing whatever sparks joy for us. So, follow the Instagram for updates so that you know when new stuff comes out, and also follow us on Spotify and subscribe to us on YouTube, and that way you'll be notified when we release new stuff.
Yeah.
And subscribe to the newsletter for the exclusive scoop before anyone else knows anything.
Yeah, no one gets to know anything before the newsletter, so you'll be first.
Yeah, newsletter freaking wins.
Please read our newsletter.
Please read it, please. I put so much work into it every month. But I think that's it.
Hooray. All right. This has been a great season 2. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah, and for the final time of this season, stay sexy!